such an honor to be here today. Very good morning to all of you who are joining in from both the corporate side as well from the startup side. And thank you so much, MSR, and the entire team at T Hub, right, for inviting me to this inaugural edition of T Hub Confluence 2022. Um, I think it's fascinating to see how T Hub is also scaling further up under your great leadership and expertise, MSR. And it was great to also listen into your perspectives. And I totally believe that we have a lot to learn from you and your three-year decade experience in the IT industry. And fully with you on the 5 M's for startups, and fully with you also on what you just articulated, right? Innovation equal to invention into commercialization, ideas into process, invention into crisis. So fully with you, and I think there's lots of insights into those gems that you just shared with all of us. And I truly believe, right, that what we are starting here today will certainly play a huge role in furthering that open innovation culture that we are all so proud of here in India, and where I think if you just reflect back in the last decade or so, it's also a lot of the symbiotic relationship that has been there between startups and between corporates like us, right? And like we heard from you, MSR, COVID-19 clearly, I mean, a crisis, like you said, also kind of accelerates the pace of innovation. It's purely from the need to survive as well. And clearly, we have seen that with COVID and how it has acted as a booster, right, for adoption of technology solutions by both consumers out there, but also enterprises, right? And we've seen that this has had a very direct impact as well on startups, and we've also seen that there's a significant increase in the use cases, which clearly have become viable and feasible to build, but also to take to market. The connection back to the commercialization bit. And again, across 2020 and 2021, I think clearly the ecosystem has also accelerated India's ambition, right, towards the $1 trillion digital economy ambition. And particularly, we are seeing that in sectors like BFSI, healthcare, education, agriculture, supply chain, logistics. And I think consistently all these sectors have also gained that exponential pace also through the pandemic. And I'm sure all of you on this call would absolutely agree that collaborations and partnerships are key, right? Or even central to the growth strategy of every startup. And if I just reflect back on this NASSCOM Zinnov report, clearly it states that more than 66% of founders are also exploring partnerships as a key strategy, right? And particularly, I think, like also what MSR reflected, it's very true in these very extremely very dynamic times. You want to stand there, accelerate, be at the pace of the change. Then it's only through partnerships that it's possible. And we've seen that also with the numbers, right? With over 135 plus unique corporate engagements and over 75 plus open innovation programs, the corporate participation that we are seeing in the Indian startup ecosystem is absolutely on the rise, right? But I like we also agree there's still and I think there's strong belief among us that a greater number of corporates definitely also need to come to the forefront to continue to support and continue to foster this culture of open innovation. And if you just also reflect a little bit on the corporate accelerators across the board, right? I think we'd all agree that this has moved from the earlier times of very traditional, just the mentorship based support to clearly to creating that outcome based, value based engagement, right, for both parties. And some of the models that we've seen emerging and creating those values for both the startups as well as for corporates that we are seeing clearly is multifold, right? First thing, it's many times it's about platform evangelization as well, where corporates like us offer access to our platforms to startups, and through that also opening up opportunities for startups where you can rely on the fact that you have a solid technology that you can kind of backup. You have a very stable underlying technology base that also enables startups to very quickly scale up. The second thing, the model that we are seeing is also the license or vendor agreement, right? Where you leverage that very unique IP of the startup to enable sales and operational excellence. The third model is, of course, which is also very popular, is the joint go to market, where we partner with startups to cross sell solutions. And many times it's also about complementary solutions that we can take to market. And then it's about the co innovation model, right? And we're seeing that in numerous cases with the customers that we support, where we're bringing in those very unique capabilities, which are startups that we support, can really come in there and co-innovate with us to deliver upon those outcomes that our customers have, right? And it's really about that model where startups and corporates collaborate to co-create those innovative solutions, those innovative outcomes. And if I just reflect a little bit at SAP, we've had our Startup Studio program, which is since several years now, where we are creating value for our participating startups, as well as the SAP customers in this geography, right? And all of this has been through very focused open innovation approach, which is focused on that go to market as well as that co-innovation, which we are very proud of together with SAP. And if I just reflect back, and this is also standing on the shoulders of great leaders like Justin and Anzi, who have been the founders of the Startup Studio program here at Labs India, it's very cool to see that the program has nurtured and supported over 51 enterprise technology startups with SAP's technology enablement, also giving startups the access to the best of our product experts for co-innovation guidance. And this is also possible because we have the access of the entire solution portfolio here in one location, which means also the product owners, the chief product owners, the architects, the go-to-market experts are also here in the region, right? And talking about go-to-market, several go-to-market engagements with also key customers here at SAP in this region, right? And if I just also look at the average deal size for our collaborating startups, it's in the range of 50,000 euros to 75,000 euros per deal, right? And yes, this is a great start for us, but we also believe we have a long way ahead, right? And we are genuinely convinced in this power of collaboration, right? And this is collaboration across multiple frontiers. And as for startups, I think it's also important to understand this open innovation culture provides them with the possibility to also align according to their innovation capabilities, their possibilities to scale as well, and partner, and or you called it matchmaking earlier on, right? Partner with those corporates which also map to your innovation agenda, map to important also your culture that you have, right? As well as your go-to-market strategy. Now, while we spoke about the role of accelerators and startups in the realm of open innovation, I think it's also the technology readiness of the ecosystem, which clearly also enables it to